This photograph is very special to me because as I grew up, it was always displayed on my mother's dresser. The picture was taken in 1920 after my mother's family emigrated from the town of Noto in Sicily. The Curto clan arrived in America by way of Ellis Island. In the photo, my Uncle Tom is the teenage brother and protector of his two young sisters, Aunt Lil on the right and Josepina, my mother, on the left. This is a family photo of my grandparents and their 8 children. The picture was taken in 1936, shortly before my Uncle Sammy got married. My father, Luigi, was the boy wearing the knickers in the front row. He was the youngest of 8 children by my grandparents, Maria and Pasquale. My grandmother, Maria, was from the island of Ischia, Italy, and my grandfather was born in Naples, Italy. My father is now 73 years old.
The first photo is of my grandfather and grandmother, Mak Shi Lo. In the early 20s, she came to Westerly, Rhode Island from China. Her arranged marriage marked the beginning of her life in the United States. The second picture was also taken in the early 20s, shortly after the birth of my Aunt Alice, the first of her 5 children.
This is the wedding photograph of my Polish great-grandparents. It was taken in East Tawas, Michigan in May 1913 on the day they were married. My great-grandmother, Busa, is what we called her growing up, which is a Polish word for grandmother, came to this country in about 1912 and 1913, shortly before she was married. She was extremely fortunate to have been allowed to immigrate because she had exceedingly poor vision, and at that time people with various illnesses or forms of disabilities were not allowed to leave the country. My great-grandfather came to this country as a young man, and after they were married, he supported the family by working on the railroad.
This is a photo taken around the 1940s in Providence, Rhode Island. It's of my parents, Manuel Santos and Mary DeBrito Santos, my sister, Mary Julia, and my twin brothers, Marcolino and Manuel. My parents migrated to this country from the Cape Verde Islands. It was my father's dream, as he says, the American dream of finding a better life.
This particular photograph is of my great-great-grandparents who came to this country in 1883 from Denmark. It was taken in Chicago while they were visiting relatives. My great-great-grandfather was a fisherman on the Danish North Sea. However, when they came to this country, they became farmers in a small town of Tulip, Michigan.
This is a picture of my grandparents, Frederick and Martina Duran, and their 14 children. My mother, Estelle, is on the far right, the only one smiling. They came to the United States from Canada, where farm life was difficult, and settled in Woonsocket, Rhode Island, in search of better opportunities. This picture was taken just prior to World War II. The 4 young men in the center of the top row enlisted. Leo and Alcid were wounded in action. Fortunately, all 4 came home. Pepe and Meme eventually had 43 grandchildren.
Came from St. Anne de Sorel, Quebec, to Woonsocket, Rhode Island in the year 1921.
My grandparents, Luigi and Julia Mengucci, immigrated to Woonsocket, Rhode Island from Italy.
John and Katrina were married in Krakow, Poland.
They came to Rhode Island in hopes of finding a better life and better jobs.
They were supposed to travel to Italy on the Andrea Doria from New York City.
In the late 1800s, they immigrated to America, first settled in Lowell, Massachusetts.